That was quite the clearance sale. I could have brought a bunny costume. The spirit of Easter keeps going strong. I will say one thing. Let me bring this filter here. Be a little more professional there. So, I love competitive Pokemon. And the fact that it's been going for almost 30 years, the video game, TCG, they have Pokemon Unite, which plays pretty similar to Dota, and League of Legends is really cool. Pokemon is a powerhouse in terms of being a media franchise. It's, my parents to this day will say they are amazed how many years it's gone by of Pokemon being at the top of the top. Not that they doubted it, but it's just, I think the equation, the kind of the equation there that they had back in the day were things like Beanie Babies and that definitely collectible animal popular thing. But unlike Beanie Babies, Pokemon kept going. I mean, not saying that Beanie Babies are dead, but I can see their point of view early on where they might have thought Pokemon was similar to Beanie Babies, and Beanie Babies kind of oversaturated its market and they kind of crashed. That being said, I could see Beanie Babies coming back this decade for sure. So one cool thing about Pokemon is when it comes to competitive Smogon Pokemon, from Ubers to Little Cup, each Pokemon only has 4 attacks. You get 1 slot for an item and you get, your choice of an ability. Something I've noticed over the years is kind of a slippery slope mindset, where players often start complaining about one thing and then, they start snowballing. And one big thing is players saying like, I wish this Pokemon had this move. I wish this Pokemon had this move. If this Pokemon had this move, it'd be over. Just stuff like that. And I think that, the beauty of Pokemon isn't about what moves a Pokemon can learn, but the absence of what Pokemon can't learn. And by doing that, it invokes players, a mindset to practice honing strategy and how they adjust accordingly. For example, kind of the poster Pokemon for this at the moment is Garchomp. And, for multiple generations now, people I've seen complain about, why can't Garchomp learn Dragon Dance? Oh, if only it could learn Dragon Dance. And to me, I think the beauty is that because Garchomp doesn't have Dragon Dance, you tap into other strategies with Garchomp if you want to raise your speed and attack. Last generation, Garchomp got an attack called Scale Shot, which increases your speed for a multi-hit. And now you have to adjust accordingly based upon using that attack. What's cool is that if you want to run Dragon Dance, you can run it with Pokemon like Dragonite, Salamence, Dragapult. There are other Pokemon that can learn that move. And so there's this fun association where if you enjoy using the move, there are certain Pokemon that have it, and then there's certain Pokemon that don't. And Garchomp has its own merits. And the fun part is, it's like, just like building a fire truck with what Legos you have. You run out of reds and you add some orange, and then it turns out, wow, I added some flair to the truck. And in Garchomp's case, you could take advantage that Scale Shot is a multi-hit move, so it can break substitutes while making offensive progress and boosting your speed. It's a lot of fun. And, another example is Keldeo, who never could learn Ice Beam, and that's okay. I think people, again, they start going down this snowball of why can't this Pokemon learn that? Why can't this do that? And it reminds me of competitive Melee, where if I were to say, if only Yoshi could jump out of shield, if only DK's shield size was bigger, you could just start going down this slippery slope. And in the game Project Plus, they do get those buffs. DK has a bigger shield size, Yoshi can jump out of shield. But the thing with that is that's P+, not Melee. So it's not a good mindset to approach Melee and you're fighting someone and you say, if this was P+, I could jump out of shield right now, but you're not playing that game. So you adjust accordingly, with what utility you have. And I think that's the fun part. In fact, that's a fun part about, Legos is the way Legos work is they provide you with a package of bricks and stuff, but it's up to the kid to decide how they want to build. You could build a river, run out of blue blocks, but you have some purples. Then it turns out you got some nice tundra stream going there. Now you just build a mountain behind it. There's a reason why Lego is so successful, is because it's a fun toy, and the kids don't even realize that it's educational to develop neural pathways with. And so in Pokemon's case, Keldeo doesn't have Ice Beam, but you could run Icy Wind. It still provides an ice move, and now, even though it doesn't do as much damage as Ice Beam, Icy Wind has its own merit, where now the opposing Pokemon's speed drops. So by their speed dropping, you might be able to take advantage that you can get the next hit. You might be able to set up using Calm Mind if they switch out. There's a lot of fun things you can do, and it makes you wonder how many people would miss the opportunity to work with Icy Wind as a move if Ice Beam was available for Keldeo. In other examples, some of my most favorite Pokemon, Larry and Xurkitree, both of them don't have the move Agility, and both of them have really strong attacking stats for attack for Larry and special attack for Xurkitree. And so one fun way is to find ways to boost their speed when you lack Agility. And what's cool is, I talked about the item slot, and so, rather than me going on the Smogon forums and going, why don't they have Agility by now? This is unfair, unviable, I'm not playing them. No, to me, I'm like, I love these Pokemon. It'd be cool to find an outlet. Is there a potential way to boost their speed? And there is. There is an item called Blunder Policy, which says if you miss your attack, your speed doubles. And what's really cool is when you put that together with the fact that Larry and Xurkitree tend to hit like trucks. You use the move Dynamic Punch for Larry, which has only 50% accuracy, but hits really hard, and it causes confusion. And then Xurkitree has Zap Cannon, same accuracy, but it causes paralysis while doing a lot of damage itself. And then you realize there's a recipe there. It's a borderline win-win, because if you land those moves, you do usually devastating damage by default, and then you cause a special condition. But if you miss, your speed doubles. And now that both these Pokemon have the abilities Beast Boost, they might be able to snowball there. Another fun example is Poliwrath is known to be pretty strong, pretty bulky. He also doesn't have Agility. And that's okay. He has Swift Swim, and Poliwrath has been known to be played on rain teams to double his speed. But another fun way is, and thankfully Smogon keeps Z-Crystals around for National Dex format, but Z-Crystals themselves add extra effects to moves. And this is, again, full Lego territory. You realize that you run out of blue blocks, aka Agility for your river, but you kind of add some nice greenery around the river, and now it looks like something on front of a water bottle, and good marketing there. And in this case, Poliwrath learns Hypnosis, and when you use a Psychic Z-Crystal with that, your speed goes up. So there's another fun scenario where you could possibly put the opposing Pokemon to sleep, boost your speed, and then if you want to, you could use Belly Drum to maximize your attack and potentially make a sweeper setup there. And even more now at Gen 9 National Dex with the Terra mechanic, you can change your types accordingly. A lot of fun creativity. And the cool part about all this is Pokemon only can have 4 moves at a time. So it's really fun to kind of maximize certain strengths and potential with only 4 move slots. And you could use the Electrium Z with Xurkitree to boost his speed in a similar manner with Electric Terrain, or use Hypnosis. There's a lot of fun to be had, and I think it's just a good, healthy mentality that rather than complaining all the time, you look at the bricks around you and you decide, how can I build around this? What can I make? And again, Lego's been so successful with that philosophy. I think if you bring that to strategy games and just fighting games in general, PvP, you can go a long way. The Pokemon Combee, I remember in the Woods Draft League, they had a Little Cup season, and I drafted Combee. I definitely always used male Combee in the fact that male Combees don't evolve. So in my view, it's like, oh, Little Cup is a perfect format for a Combee to show up in. Because all the female Combees can become Vespiquen outside of Little Cup formats. And so with Combee doesn't have a ton of moves compared to a lot of other Little Cup Pokemon, but that's okay. I have a lot of fun using Scope Lens, Wind Cutter sets, Ominous Wind. You can use Hustle, and combined hustle with wide lens and use like dual wing beat. You know, it learns lunge, being able to lower the attack of the opposing Pokemon. There's a lot of fun stuff, and you just adjust accordingly. Combee's got pretty good speed in Little Cup, and being able to use Tailwind for your team is a nice potential parting gift or potential, you know, setup for sweeping. And that is all part of the mindset of, rather than wishing that Combee had Brave Bird, U-Turn, and Judgment, you adjust with what you're given, and it's a lot of fun. I think there's a good promotion of a healthy mindset with adapting to what you're given. In fact, there's a lot of schools that teach that, whether you take wood shop, welding, or someone gives you a problem in the chemistry lab. Here are your ingredients. Create this. Solve this solution. They are testing your ingenuity and how you can adapt in a time frame while being able to solve for that problem with the resources given to you. I love Mondays.